Hello and welcome to another Trailblazers We Love. We have a really special treat today. We have Bill Kosick from PS Solutions joining us today. Bill, how are you doing?
Good, Sam. How are you today?
I'm doing fine, thanks. Really appreciate you joining us. We do these Trailblazers We Love where we ask people some questions about how they got started in the sales and marketing technology consultancy ecosystem, let's say. So that's a great place to start, if that's all right with you. I'd love to learn a little bit about your background, how you got started in this industry, and about PS Solutions. Anything else you want to tell us?
Well, if I go way back in my past life, I was a PGA golf professional.
Wow.
I did that for 10 years or so. And, just to be clear, with the golf profession, it's kind of a play on words. There's golf professional and professional golfer. Tiger Woods is the professional golfer. The golf professional, that's the person that works at the country club as the head pro, and that's who I was. So,
Hmm.
did that for a number of years, and was that's kind of a young man's industry. A lot of hours, a lot of holidays, all that kind of stuff. So, I was looking to make a career change, and some members of a club that I worked at owned an IT consulting firm. So,
Mm.
had some conversations with them, and ended up going to work for them.
Wow, that's really interesting. I've had nurses and people coming from other sorts of industries, like military people, but first PGA golfer or professional athlete turned. So that's really. I had a cousin actually who was trying to make it on the tour. I know it's really, really challenging, and only like the top, I don't know, 20 or something are like a lot of them are financing their own like tour appearances and or tournaments. But that's really cool. Thanks for sharing that. So yeah, so about PS Solutions, I know you're a software development and kind of IT company. What kind of things do you help clients with?
Well, we're maybe a little bit unique with regard to our company. We definitely have the software services we provide where, we build custom applications, rebuild old applications, do MVPs for companies that are just trying to get started. That's one half of PS Solutions. The other half, we offer IT staffing. So, if folks just need a contractor for a certain period of time, we do that. If they're looking to hire somebody, we can find them a direct placement, or we can also do a contract to hire. So, with regard to like an IT consultancy, we kind of cover, both aspects.
Oh, that's really interesting. So like it's not just like a fractional employee where they're kind of getting a certain amount of hours, but you also like help people find FTEs from your network, if I'm understanding correctly.
Yeah, we do. We do. We have a whole recruiting entity or organization here. So, we're able to go out and find folks not within our organization. We're able to pull folks in from the outside for the various needs that we have, whether those needs are our own or if it's a client looking for somebody.
And these are mostly in the IT realm, or what kind of roles are you staffing for generally?
We stick strictly with IT.
Okay,
but,
good.
but everything within IT. So it could be, you know, level one help desk all the way up to a program manager, product manager, product owner, and anything in between. .NET, Python, Salesforce, anything that there is, but all within IT.
Okay, great. Well, that's really helpful to know. A lot of these trailblazers we love, Bill, are generally focused on the Salesforce side of things. I'm talking to people that went from being a nurse to an admin or what have you. But why I thought it would be such a great idea to talk to you is because what we're seeing on our end is that like there's the expectation for people to be familiar with a lot more different systems and adjacent technologies, let's say if they want to have, careers in IT. You mentioned your own transition from being a professional athlete to being in this space. What kind of like advice would you give to somebody that was looking to, to work in IT or to work in an IT consultancy company like PS Solutions?
Well, I mean, if you wanted to work for a consultancy, you definitely have to have some sort of skills already, right? You can't come in with zero skill and expect a company to train you up on something. So that's not really a way to go. As far as what I know about Salesforce, though, I mean, if I'm using the right terminology, I think they have that Trailblazer. I'll call it a process, and somebody that is doing something that maybe they're not that thrilled with, you can get into get onto Salesforce. You can take these classes and you can really, teach yourself, and you can come out the other end of that very marketable, Salesforce skills. And a friend of mine, his sister did that. She was, I think, a nurse, and she wasn't happy. So in the evenings, she went through their process of teaching herself, and she came out with I guess it would be like a certificate, and she was able to then get a job, working for a company, utilizing the Salesforce skills that she developed. And one thing I'll say about that is, if you do something like that, it really impresses the people on the other end.
Right.
From the sense that, hey, this person was, they had a career path, they decided they wanted to change it, they took it upon themselves to go ahead and go through this process, put the work in, all on their own, and then go out and try to market themselves. And I think, hiring managers, when they see that, I think it's pretty impressive to them.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. With the trailhead, having the gamification model and being able to teach yourself is really beneficial. I'm curious, like, what are the in-demand technologies? Like, people are coming to you looking for IT people. Are there some specific technologies that more often than others you see people looking for help with? If somebody is deciding which technologies they should familiarize themselves with to give themselves the best prospect at future employment, what are some that you think are good areas of opportunity?
That's a hard question to answer. I'm not the least bit technical, right? So when you say technology, I think of languages like .NET and Java and Python and
Right.
COBOL. I think of languages, so to speak. We see a lot of .NET, we see a lot of Java, we see a lot of like SQL Server. We
Some more
see
programming
it's
languages.
more programming, yeah. So we see a lot of that, but I almost want to say there's no such thing as what's hot. It's more like what your client needs or what your client requires from you to have, right?
Hmm.
It's not like everybody's switching from Java to Moonshot. Like all the languages are going away, and now Moonshot's like the big language that everybody wants. That's not really the way it works. All the languages kind of serve a purpose, and they all have a fit. And so it just depends on what client you're working with and what their specific needs are. Um, I don't know if I did a good job of answering your question, but that's kind of like manufacturers. They use a certain set of languages or a certain set of applications. Retailers use maybe different ones. Life sciences, they might use some of the same, but some differences. So there's no, other than, if you're talking about a big application, Salesforce, of course, is everywhere. And, that's the hot thing with regard to that. But, the underlying things behind it, languages and things of that, they're all in use. It just depends on who your client is.
No, I think that's a really good answer. I think that sometimes the best answer is the one that's, not conclusive because it really does depend, like you're saying. If I've understood you correctly, having a solid foundation in computer programming languages could be a good basis, and then adding other relevant texts. What I've seen on my end is the expectation is to kind of have a wide array of skills and different familiarity with different softwares and programs. So if that's what you're seeing, people are coming in with all sorts of requests from Java to what have you, then I think it would behoove people to have a deep set of skills, let's say. So thank you for that. Last two questions here. One of them is germane, and the other one is just for fun. We're really curious about the direction of things. Everybody's talking about AI and how AI is going to affect everything. Some people, it's a doomsday scenario. For other people, it's this huge area of opportunity. But what are some of your, like, what do you think how AI is going to be impacting the way businesses operate in the next year? And I'm sorry if I'm throwing you on the spot.
No, that's okay. There's probably definitely some quick wins that companies can get with AI, but I would say that those would be in areas that are very safe, not really dealing with the company's data and things of that nature. Like, they can use it internally to maybe put a document together quicker, things like that. You can definitely use it for like customer service and the little chat bot that pops up and says, when you're on a website, can I help you? You can definitely use AI for some of that stuff. And I think, a lot of people are doing that. But I hear, I've been to a lot of, I'll call them seminars with regard to AI, and companies themselves are very hesitant about jumping all in with AI. They're doing it. A company always is going to move very slowly with any new technology. They're not just going to throw open the doors and say, "Hey, man, let's have at it." They're going to be very cautious with what they do. So, you're going to see AI pop up in some places where it might not have been that you might not even really recognize it. But as far as companies using it everywhere for everything, that's not going to happen for a while, if it ever does happen.
Yeah, I really appreciate that more kind of tempered outlook. And I ask people that question, answers all across the board from 80% of jobs are going to be obsoleted by 2030 or whatever. I would tend to agree with you more. I definitely see that companies are really cautious with their data. We also see a lot of diminishing returns with some of these things and large language models and kind of their limitations, and they're being trained on other versions of themselves. So that's definitely reassuring to hear from your perspective that, I shouldn't be having panic attacks late at night. So I'm glad about that. So yeah, thank you so much, Bill. I really appreciate your time today. One final question. We'll leave the world of IT and sales and marketing technology and Salesforce, but we like to end on a less serious note. So do you have any recommendations for any like TV shows or books or movies or anything what's something that's caught your attention recently that you think other people might get a kick out of?
Well, if you haven't watched Game of Thrones, it's the GOAT.
Oh, okay.
And as far as books or podcasts or anything like that, I'm a huge fan of anything Jordan Peterson.
I'm actually watching Game of Thrones with my wife now. I have watched it already, but she has not. So I would definitely agree with you. At least the first 6.5 seasons, let's call it, were
Right,
definitely peak television.
right.
But yeah, have you seen House of Dragons?
I did. I did.
Uh, is it worth? Should I check it out?
Check it out. It's a whole host of new characters, and that's kind of hard to get used to because you're used to seeing the Game of Throners in there. So it was worth watching. It's not a Game of Thrones though, at least not to this point.
Okay. Yeah, I think it takes place a couple hundred years before the
Yeah,
main story.
yeah,
Yeah, we're always looking for new television to watch. So, but yeah, that those first handful of seasons, some of the best television I think has ever been made. So, I'm
yeah,
right
no
there with
question.
you. Well, thanks so much for your time, Bill. I really appreciate it. I hope you have a great rest of your week. I'm sure that everybody got a lot of value out of hearing from your insights.
All right, Sam. Thanks for having me.